Duh, Yankees lose! Welcome back to This Week in Sports. We have a lot to cover this week. But before we get into that, I'm going to finish my ice cream, and then we'll talk about some sports. See you there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Yeah, there's a lot to get into for This Week in Sports. But first, let's get into some channel things. All right, I will be releasing the next This Week in Sports on Sunday. I know it won't be a full week, so I will purposely avoid talking about some stuff, like stuff that's happening today onwards in terms of baseball, obviously this weekend in the NFL, and the international break entirely. So World Cup qualifying will wait until next week, even though some games were played yesterday. All right, we will get into it just next episode, right? So stay tuned for that. And I am back, so you know your ADHD subway surfers looking asses can have some gameplay behind you. I will be playing, of course, Blue Jays and Yankees, but we will get into all of that as we get there. Other things I'm going to be doing, I will be going to Portugal Island this weekend, so as well as talking about it in This Week in Sports, I will probably make a vlog about it, hopefully, and we'll see where that goes. And yeah, the other thing that I'm going to be doing is making a couple of just videos talking about I'm playing different sports stuff, and I will be finishing with the rest of the we will be playing, of course, the big game that I will be talking about later, which is the Blue Jays playing the Yankees, and we will get into it later, don't you worry. But first, the Premier League. All right, well, let's get into it. Man United won, and they won convincingly. And all of a sudden, the system's not the problem. Now, the reason I'm going to be talking about this is because people have been really annoying. Listen, I understand that the breakfast game was absolutely dreadful, but people have been super annoying, criticizing the system, saying it doesn't work, and that we should sack Amber. But then it works, and nobody will credit the system, they'll credit the players. And all in all, we are just stuck in a cycle. We are absolutely stuck in a cycle. This is a terrible cycle, in my opinion, because you're just gonna sit here. There are three different pillars to success, right? The players, management, the backroom staff, the club. The club have a lot of pressure on them. Man United, the Glazers, they have had a ton of pressure on them, but their pressure is not permanently pressured by the fans and by the media. They only really look to them towards, when the money, runs out. They look and go, hey, these are bad investments. That's the only time that they look at them. And they really should be looking at them a lot more. And in some aspects, they are improving. Carrington and stuff like that. So there is that. So yeah, the management team should probably have the least blame, but right now it's getting the most blame. And typically, Man United fans put a lot of blame on the management team, and it is annoying because then you replace them. They're part of the pillars of success, and if you replace the management team saying, hey, they're not good enough, the players don't change, and the players aren't good enough, and the club isn't good enough. The club's hard to change. The players are easier to change, and they don't change when you just keep criticizing the manager. You have to give the manager time. The thing I really want to talk about, and I will probably make an in-depth video about this. Don't quote me on that though. Mark Goldbridge of the United Stand. You are a Man United fan with the largest. Wow, that was bad. The largest platform. The largest platform for Man United fans, and you're sitting here talking about how we should back the manager. I've watched the United States for years. They sit here and they talk about how you should back the manager, and they're right. And this past week or two, they've just decided, screw that. We don't really care about that anymore, and we're gonna go, hey, hammer him out, but not explicitly say hammer him out. Just complain about it and say, hey, I haven't had a clue what's going on here. To the point where he said and I quote, this is some bad pitching, don't worry about that, to the point where he said, and I quote, that when Sir Jim Ratcliffe came out saying he's backing, when he came out saying he's backing the club, or saying he's backing the manager for 3 years, he said, you're backing a guy that, spent the last 18 months at the club doing nothing good. Which, first of all, he's not even been here a full year. Do you know how ridiculous that sounds? Do you know how absolutely ludicrous you are? You lose all credibility blaming Ammerman for things that he wasn't even there for, just because you're mad, okay? Sit there, take a minute, try and see what he's trying to do. And I'll get more into depth with that in another video, but just the sheer stupidity of it all really got to me. Okay, so let's get into the other teams. Liverpool lost their third game in a row against Chelsea in a game that had some highlight moments. I mean, wow. We really saw a lot there from Van Dijk. I mean, what a huge backside. They're talking about Hazard. You know, Hazard, the king of bundas. You gotta look at this defensive king here. His aura, his aura back here just creates some of the best moments. You gotta just sit there and admire that. And you know, the team really fumbled. Liverpool. They've been in a bit of a slump, but it's fine. You know, week off. Then they play Man United. So you know, that's what they can dream for, really. So, not that I'm nervous. And some other teams that played. I'm trying to think of the games. Arsenal won, nothing special. Same way that Man United won, you know, convincing game. Who else had played an interesting game? Man City won 1-0. So, you know, good for them. Go. And, everything else seemed pretty uneventful, right? I can't remember any other important Premier League game. I think Forest lost again, and I think that's kind of concerning. You hire a new manager, and not only do you not have a new manager bounce, you have the opposite effect. Like, Nuno was a good manager, and whatever qualms you had, they've kind of gotten in the way now. But, you know, it is what it is. You move on, you get Ange. Ange comes back, gets to prove his point against, you know, against Tottenham, against the rest of the haters in the Prem, and he's not been doing well. And so that's something that you really got to look at. But that's also a thing of maybe this squad wasn't made for him in terms of, you know, how the players are shaping up. All right, I'm gonna move on. Talk really quickly about Barcelona. They lost 4-1. Pretty bad. Alexis Sanchez scored a goal. As a Man United fan, that kind of hurts, seeing he couldn't really do that much of that while he was here. But you know, I believe Lewandowski missed a pen, and that's pretty crucial. But you know, that is life, and nothing interesting really happened in other leagues that I can think of, and by that I mean I wasn't paying attention. Like I said, I will 100%. I spent a lot of time talking about the Premier League. I will 100% talk about the rest of the international break, the stuff I did pay attention to and will pay attention to in the next episode. So keep that in mind. Now let's move on to the big stuff for today, and that is the MLB postseason. And that is right. What this video will be titled, what I will be talking about for the next maybe like 2 minutes though. The Yankees. It's so funny. Well, what do you mean they won? It's not funny. It's, as a Blue Jays fan, this is great. This is fantastic news. I expected the Blue Jays to win. They absolutely dominated the first game. Where we left off last time was the Yankees were tied 1-1 with the Boston Red Sox, and they got the job done at home. It was not pretty. You know, they should have really wanted to, but they didn't. They lost the first game and took it to 3 games. But you know, maybe they're just trying to get a lot of money from it, and it worked. You know, they got 4 home games for the most that they were gonna get, or 5 home games this season, the postseason. That you can get some money from that, right? And then yeah, the Blue Jays come around and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. decides he is him. All right, you know, he matches Hank Aaron in 1969 for home runs and for the stat line that he carried through the first 3 games, and was absolutely clutch. 3 home runs in the 4 games. The first 3 home runs, including a grand slam in Game 2, which was absolutely ridiculous. I know the game ended 13-7, but at one point it was like 12-1 or something like that. So it was never in doubt for the Blue Jays. Blue Jays decided to turn up at home, which was great. Yankees decided they didn't want to play anymore, which was, you know, terrible for my grandparents, but it was great. And yeah, it was just, I mean, I want to say that outside of George Springer, I think each player really turned up, and even George Springer, he hit a home run in the series. So all the players are hot. They're the first team into the ALCS or the NLCS, although there are teams playing as I speak, which currently I believe it's 1-1 between Philly and the Dodgers, and the other game probably just started if they are playing yet. And yeah, so Blue Jays got the job done in 4, and that was impressive. And they did it without a real starting pitcher. They played a bullpen game that Game 4. Another person I want to talk about who was absolutely lethal, Trey Savage. The audio was in fact so bad that I am just going to try my best to re-record what I said now and just add it to the video on top of it. So you will actually get my face with more gameplay. I just lost the glasses again. And I talk about the glasses early on. Don't worry if you can hear me talking from the past. Forget about it. Trey Savage, as I was saying, Trey Savage played extremely well. He carried a no-hitter through the first 5 1/3 innings, which is ridiculous for a postseason debut. And in that postseason debut, he beat the franchise record for most strikeouts, and he was the 2nd youngest to hit double-digit strikeouts. That's ridiculous. Like, he's doing this stuff. It's always cool when young players are doing things. That's what I said earlier, and I still believe it in all sports. I mean, like, this guy's 2 years older than me, and in 2 years, I'm putting the fries in the bag. Let's be real. So this is pretty cool. And yeah, he helped propel the Blue Jays. And another thing that I realized now that I didn't even mention, the Yankees, I mean, they gave up, the least amount of runs they gave up was 5, and that was in their last loss. They gave up 6 runs in their win. They came back, and it was an impressive comeback. But yeah, very uncharacteristic Yankees, I guess, but also very characteristic. I don't remember what else I talked about already in the video that I'm not going to add in here. I believe I did say, hey, the Yankees losing, it was great for me, great for my dad, bad for my grandparents. Funny, because it is funny. And then I talked about the other postseason games, and I'll go into depth more about this on Sunday, but the Phillies did lose. I was talking about it because it was as I was playing, they were also playing, and they were tied 1-1. They lost the bottom of the 11th, so they're out of the postseason. And the Dodgers black magic their way into the NLCS. I'm kidding, they're very good. But yeah, hopefully they lose back-to-back Dodgers World Series. I don't know, it kind of kills the magic. Unique teams makes it fun. But yeah, that is about all that I talked about there. Although I did talk about the Brewers playing. That was something I did mention. They're currently playing the Cubs. And if the Brewers do win, they're currently losing. This forces a game 5, but if they do come back and win, they go on to the NLCS to face the Dodgers, and then it's just the Mariners Tigers game that we are waiting for, and that'll be the only game that goes to 5, which is impressive in its own right. So now on to the NFL. I have tons of footage, by the way, of this game, and I am asked, so don't even worry about that. But on to the NFL. A lot happened. I watched a video on this stuff, and I still can't really remember it. So I'm going to try my best to remember. I believe it was... And the Titans won. The first win of the season. Every team, apart from the Jets, let's go Jets, have either lost a game, have both lost a game and won a game. This game was interesting. Cardinals had a huge lead at one point. Running back made an insane run and dropped the ball right at the end as a celebration. I don't know why players do it. I've watched a video and people asking the same thing. It makes no sense. Throwing a ball into the crowd, that's fun. Give somebody your touchdown football. Spiking it, sure. Dropping the football to celebrate, guys, it's a rookie move, but it is what it is, and it happens for whatever reason. And that happened, and then an interception that was then fumbled for a touchdown, I believe. I think that's what happened. Something along those lines. That's really funny. But yeah, very hectic game that I didn't watch, but I don't think anybody really watched it anyways. And yeah, it gives Cam Ward his first win in his NFL career. Alright, I'm trying to think of other games. The Eagles lost. I saw a clip of the Hail Mary and Jalen Hurts running for his own Hail Mary, and I think that's really funny. I think more quarterbacks should like chuck the ball up and sprint and try and catch their own ball. But yeah, the Eagles lost. That was their first loss, and they're trying to go right back at it and run it back, as they are currently losing by 10 points to the New York Giants, which is crazy. It's fine, guys. Burn Philadelphia to the ground. Restart. Don't even worry about it. We don't need Philadelphia anymore, and I don't think Philadelphians will want Philadelphia anymore. Losing to the Giants is really embarrassing. So just burn down Philadelphia. You know, they're not in the MLB postseason anymore. Just restart Philadelphia from scratch. It's all good. Everybody will be fine with it. Alright, other games. What other games? What other games happened? Jaguars won against the Chiefs. Last minute touchdown, which was an insane touchdown to give up. How the heck do you let that happen? I mean, Trevor Lawrence fell, got back up, and, you know, broke a tackle and made it into the end zone. How are you just letting that slide? How are you as a defense just letting that shit slide? That's embarrassing. But I had said it earlier. You're probably not going to hear it, but I'm going to say it again. Travis Kelce was probably, you know, too busy listening to Taylor Swift in the locker room to actually get out there and play. Team probably was in the showers looking at his wood, trying to compare. All right, because they were not out there at the end. You know, they hit the showers early, and oh boy, did they hit those showers. Another game that I didn't even mention, I talked about the Lions winning, but I didn't talk about the fact that the Drake May and the Power of Friendship beat Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, which was ridiculous, and I had forgotten about that. The Texans absolutely stomped on the Ravens, and they're in trouble. They're in a lot of trouble. But it's fine. So are the Jets. because the Jets won't even go 0-17. That's the embarrassing part. The embarrassing part is the Jets will win a game. They will only win meaningless games, and it'll be really sad. But they might have the worst record. They might. They might be bad enough, you know. But yeah, it's really interesting. And I will definitely watch more next weekend and talk more about that. But yeah, obviously you can hear me yawning. It's pretty late. I'm just going to put out this video and be on the lookout for other videos that I make, and hopefully I'll get back to my schedule at some point with uploading. So yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, and let me know about your favorite sports that I didn't talk about. Or maybe I did talk about them. Let's hear about it in the comments. Alright, see you next week.